Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Martine's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Martine Felton, and I'm a writer, an author, life coach, medium, tarot card reader, all of those things. And I wanted to talk about, remind everyone that my latest book, You Love, You Learn, is available on my website at martinefelton.com. So go ahead and get yourself a copy. And I also have merch on my site, t-shirts and sweatshirts that you can purchase. So go on over and get yourself a copy of You Love, You Learn. Before I bring on my guest, let me introduce her. She is a fellow author like myself, and her latest book is titled Lovesick, Poems and Stories to Turn You On. And her name is Kareema Edwards. Hi, Kareema. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been very excited for this day to actually come.
Oh.
And please get that book, guys, because I have it and it really is good.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is a really good book. We have to support each
Yeah,
other.
definitely. And if anyone who's watching or listening has read it, please go ahead. I forgot to mention earlier and go give us both if you've read mine or Kareema's. Yes, Amazon reviews, please. That really helps us bump us to, the top of the list when people search. So so your book, Lovesick, okay? Poems and Stories to Turn You On. All right, let's talk about it. Talk about it. So how did that come about for you?
Well, I've been writing for a really long time. And this book was definitely a labor of love. Whenever I'm going through something, I tend to write even more. And I was going through some personal things and just grabbing situations from different people as well as myself about lovesick, about taboo relationships, things that go on in relationships. And I wanted to write about it because women are often ostracized about the things they go through with men, no matter what part they play, whether they be the main woman, the wife, the side chick unknowingly. And I wanted to shed light on it in an entertaining way, not in a way to make anyone feel bad, but these are situations that actually happen, but nobody talks about it.
Right.
Yes.
But this book is there are different genres of books. How did you get into because I consider this erotica, right?
It is. Yes.
Yeah. So how did you get into writing erotica?
Well, besides just being very sexually forward, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of different poetry, but I noticed that my erotic poetry was just very popular. It started with me just whoever I was dating. Or if I care about you, I write for you. That's one of my love languages. So I would write a lot of poetry. And one of my friends who is also an author, her name is Leona. She took me to an open mic. And my first open mic, I did an erotic poem and I killed. Like everyone loved it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is something that I would like to do more. But I wanted to do it colorful. I wanted to write. I didn't want to be overt. I wanted to write in a way where I made you think, where you could actually put yourself in the situation. You could see yourself in the situation, because I feel like when you write something, it doesn't have to be, when I write it, I see it how I see it. But when you read it, I want you to see it through your eyes. So that's how that came about for me.
Yeah. You have to be really, really a descriptive writer, to write like this, or to, you know what I'm saying, to write in this genre, because you do want to paint that picture for the reader so that when they're reading it, like they feel like they are there, and you get all the reactions, the physical reactions.
I've gotten great feedback on this book. A lot of people have been telling me it took you long enough. What took you
Hmm.
so long? You know, it came at the right time. I felt like it was perfect. I tried my
Hmm.
hand at short stories for the first time, and I fell
Okay.
in love with them. I fell in
Yeah.
love with short stories. So my
Yeah.
next book will be an anthology. It would be a
Okay.
group of stories. This was just so much. It was fun to write. It was really fun to write and liberating
Yeah. Yeah.
and nerve wracking also to a certain extent. It was a
Did
little
you
nerve wracking.
you self-published, right?
Yes.
How do you find that self-publishing process? How do you because
Mm,
I have my opinion, but how do you find it to be?
I'm gonna tell you this. My editor is a godsend. I have
Mhm.
the bomb editor. So she really navigated me through the whole situation because it is a lot of work.
Mhm.
It can be tedious. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work because you need to know a lot. So I was blessed to have an editor that this is what she does. She teaches you how to self-publish. And I
Right.
learned a lot through the process. I don't know if I would have gotten my book out faster if had I done it on my own. Because
Okay.
when I was researching, I was becoming overwhelmed. I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I
Yeah.
put this here?
Because yeah, there's a
Thank
lot
God
of
for her.
information.
Thank
I'm
God for
sorry.
her.
You broke up. What did you say?
I said thank God for my editor because she really helped me. She helped me out a lot. And I had
Yes.
a lot of help. I know a lot of people that's in the writing industry that have published independently, but I didn't want my book to be shabby. I wanted it to be polished because it's a representation of myself. So I really wanted to take all the necessary steps to make sure that it was a good product. And I suggest to everyone who is writing a book, get an editor. Get an
Hmm.
editor that talks to you,
Yes.
that editor that pours into you and listens to you. And my editor is so dope. Ti is smart young. Shout out to her. She edits in my own voice. She edited in my voice. I was so pleased with all of my edits. It was nothing that I didn't like. And she taught me how to pay attention to little details like running on synthesis,
Hmm.
overuses of the same word, not to be redundant, to
Right.
shorten some things, because you don't have to write a huge book to be impactful. You can
Right.
write something that's 70 pages and is impactful. So this
Yes.
was a great experience, a learning experience as well. Yes.
Yes. You know what I learned in this experience is not to write how I speak. Even though, you want to write in your voice, but you also don't want to write as we're having this conversation, with the, what I'm saying, and you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You don't like not to write as you speak because it just comes off differently.
It
Like
does.
there's the speaking voice and then there's your writing voice.
Absolutely. And I learned a lot about myself writing this book.
Yeah.
That's that's why I say an editor is key. I took a workshop and everything before I wrote this book. I said I
Yeah.
wanted it to be polished because I'm an avid reader. I love to read.
Yep.
And you don't look for mistakes, they just be there.
Yep.
So I didn't want my book to be one of those books where the pages are repetitive, where you see
Mhm.
the same page 3 times. I wanted
Right.
to make sure that it was, I want to give you your bang for your
Seeing
buck.
those
I want
books.
it to be
Seeing those
good.
books.
Yes. This is a
So
great
let's talk about what's inside, girl, because I want to go inside the book,
Let's
right?
do it.
So the short story, Who Is She to You? Talk about that story and what was inspired by that short story.
Well, that short story was inspired about just the things you think about.
Mm-hmm.
Temptation.
Yep.
Now, the story was inspired about, sometimes in a relationship you want to do something different to spice up your relationship. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's crossed every woman's mind, but some women it has crossed their mind where they've thought about or they've been hit on by another female.
Okay.
And that conversation that you have with a man. Now some men, they find that very intriguing. Oh my God. So you like girls. You would like to be with a woman, and you would like me to be there also.
Right.
And so that's what inspired that story, how you actually get into it, and then when it finally happens, you're kind of shocked, like I actually did that.
Yes.
So that's what inspired that story. It was
Mhm.
just
And
um
also with that was the first one that I read. Who is she to you? And I feel like what you said, a lot of times women will want to do something and we're like gung ho about it, and then after you do it, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe it, and then it was like,
yes,
did I do that? Right?
yes. You have an Urkel moment. Did I do
Did I?
that?
Yeah. Did I
Yeah,
have done that? Yeah. So I think when it comes to situations like that, when it comes to like the threesome aspect in relationships, is a very slippery slope.
it is an extremely slippery slope, and it is not something to go into lightly. It is
Hmm.
something that you should really think about long and hard. It is
Hmm.
not something that you should do solely for the purpose of satisfying your partner, because a level of resentment sets in. If that's something that you're going to partake in, you should have a genuine interest in it yourself, not
Yes.
just to satisfy your partner. Because if
Right.
you do it just for him, even if you do it just for him and you know you're territorial, you're gonna
Hmm.
freeze up. You're gonna feel away. And if you love the person you with, you're gonna be like, did you enjoy her more than you enjoyed me? You look really excited, not knowing that the
Yeah.
situation itself is exciting. So if he reacts excited, it's because I have my lady here and I have another lady here, and I'm not gonna get in trouble. They're both here.
Right.
So it's a situation that you really have to think long and hard. If you are not attracted to women, I don't suggest it. And for men that want to do it, you need to think about the fact that your lady may want another male. How will you handle that? You
Well,
know, what's good for
according
the goose is good for the gander. You know,
okay, but
okay.
according to them, two men and a woman is running a train. That's what I heard.
So this is what I'm talking about with the mode of transportation.
Did you hear that too?
Yes, I'm like, why is it a train? Because everybody know a train car is actually between 9 and 10, but we won't get into schematics. What I'm saying, we're not going to do that.
Get into schematics.
Men don't, they can't even imagine the idea of being in a room with another man. That you shouldn't want your woman, you shouldn't want to put her through that. If you're not willing to give her that, then you shouldn't ask of her what you're not willing to do. But it happens all the time.
Of course, it
And
happens.
that's another thing, constantly, and this is not to male bash because all men are not this way, but men always make women feel guilty for being sexually forward if they're not benefiting from it.
Right, right, right.
If they're not benefiting from it, or if a woman has options. Like if she chooses to have more than one, that doesn't mean that she's sleeping with more than one. Why is
Hmm.
it okay for you to come into a situation with baggage and she is supposed to give up everything for
Hmm.
for a moment of your time? That
Right.
doesn't make any sense, and that happens a lot. You guilt women into feeling like, well, I don't want to deal with a woman that's dealing with more than one man. Meanwhile, you got a baby mother, you got a wife, you got a mail order bride, you
Right,
got one of your neighbors, but she just went to lunch with him.
right.
Be fair. And the playing field is not fair. And what I would suggest to women is do not, especially if you're single, do not allow a man to make you feel guilty for having options. A
Right.
lady should always have options. You
Exactly.
should never limit yourself. Well, I
Okay.
can't deal with a woman that's dealing with more than one man. Then if you're not trying to be my man, I'll see you Tuesday, but I will be with him this evening. And that's how it should be. You know what I'm saying?
You have
Let's
comedy,
be fair.
girl. We have comments from Kim Keisha.
Kim Keisha. Hey, Kim Keisha, that's my girl. We went to high school together.
Ow.
You know,
Then we got Latoya
let's
Hicks.
say that's my best friend.
Jada.
Yes, hi, Tay. Yes.
Then we got Ava's in the house. She's here with her.
Julia. These are all my girls. I love them.
Oh, that's
This
cool.
is
They
30 years of sisterhood right here. 30 years of
yes.
That's right. You should always drive your car with a spare tire. Okay?
All
Now I don't
right.
drive. I got Uber and Lyft. I don't drive, but I have my Uber and I have my Lyft. So that's why always keep a spare. A single woman should always keep a spare. If you're not committed, you don't really have a say so. And that's what happens in a lot of situations. You want a home base. You want a home base, but you don't want to
Mhm.
commit. You want the comfort of a relationship, but you want the freedom of a single person. Don't do that.
Well,
Don't do that.
what about couples who are both sexually forward as you I
Mm,
like that term, I'm going to be using it.
please
Um,
do.
what about couples who are sexually forward and go out swinging and um, they do their things because there are appropriate places for their lifestyles and what have you.
Okay.
But what do you think about that? Do you think that that's a sustainable lifestyle for like a marriage?
I mean, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I mean, being a swinger is definitely a lifestyle. I
Yes.
feel like everyone has to be honest. Anything that you do too much of, you can run in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that are just naturally not monogamous. They're just not monogamous. So I guess it works for them. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like whatever works for you and your partner, do it. As long as you're being honest and you're not leading another person on. The
Mm-hmm.
rules that you set in play, if you feel like you're getting ready to go left, then you need to make the person that you are being intimate with aware. That's what I would always suggest. Now, the swinger life, I mean, you know,
I know.
you could no, I'm I'm not knocking it because
Mm-hmm.
we all have our quirks. We all
Mm-hmm.
have our things that we like. We might not mention it, but we all have our things that we like. So that's why I am quick to hug and slow to judge. I don't
Yeah.
judge. I don't judge because we all do what works for us in a relationship. Is it a sustainable thing? I think it's a phase. I think
Yeah.
it's a phase. I think after a while, it gets tired. You know,
Yeah.
some people they start out strong with it, and then they're like, I'm ready to kind of settle back with it now.
Yeah.
Married, I don't know if I would be fully in it married. If we're just a couple and we're doing it, then that's something different. If we're a couple and we're doing it. But there
Yeah.
are people that they have a swinger lifestyle where the
Yes.
wife has the wife has a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and the husband has a girlfriend. But everybody knows what's going on, and that's the thing. You have to be honest. You have to be honest. I don't think any of it works without honesty at all.
Definitely. And like Keisha said, honesty is key. Boom,
Yeah,
there you have it.
yeah, gotta be honest.
Honesty is key. I love that your girls are here supporting you. Ava says, I don't like sharing.
And let me tell you something, but see, that's honest.
Hear you.
That's an honest person. When you know where a person is coming from, you can meet them right where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell you from personal experience, this is my sister for 30 years. She gonna say what she mean and mean what she say. So you're never gonna get it misconstrued. She's gonna come in the door stating, this is what I am accepting and this is what I'm not accepting. And
Mm-hmm.
some things are subject to change, but I can tell you that ain't subject to change. Not for her. She's a Capricorn just like me. That's not subject to change.
Oh, okay. I meant to ask you your sign too, because I was trying to figure it out on my own. But
Yes.
I was like, I wonder if I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I was getting Aries vibes, but
I'm married to an Aries, Lord.
oh, okay.
Jesus be offense. No, but yes, I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah, I'm a Sag. So I'm a
You Sagittarius, November or December?
November 27th.
My daughter's birthday is the 26th.
Sag, she
Yes,
is.
I can tell you from right now, I know absolutely no nonsense, and you do not share at all. No nonsense at all. You are very direct. You're gonna say what you have to say, and you put that pretty. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty much. I mean, if if I love you, love you, love you, I'm not sharing. I
absolutely,
mean,
absolutely. I know my daughter is this. My daughter's engaged. My daughter's a Sagittarius, and she no share. I just asked for some lip gloss. She kind of just like shut me down. She ain't sure either, so I get it. I understand.
yeah, yeah. It would be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, getting back to the book now, okay? I've one of these poems, the Wet Dream Sin series, because I was reading it, and then when we got to the end, it was like you woke up from the dream. I was
It,
like, oh my God.
it was very intense, right?
I was like, oh shit, it was a dream. God damn.
That's how I felt when I woke up. I was like this. Wow. Yes. I
So it's stuff like that, that creativity, you know what I'm saying? That creativity. It's like I'm fascinated by that. Um how where that creativity comes from and where how you put your words together and stuff like that.
I think it's because I love to read so much.
Mhm.
I read a lot of things. I like to have conversations, and I love talking to both males and females. And sex comes up often,
Right.
but people get intimacy confused. Intimacy is not just fucking.
Yeah.
It's not. There's different levels of intimacy,
Mhm.
and I. Speaking of swingers, that's what the dream is actually about. And
Right.
the dream, she's wandering through a party. She's like, "What is going on in here?"
Mhm. And
And
people are like grabbing her.
look at and then these are the things. I don't know. My imagination is just always been like that. Always been like that. And this is stuff that I've performed on stage that
Mhm.
people love. They're like, how did you come up with that? I was like, I might have overheard a conversation. I get inspiration from everywhere. Me and my girlfriends, we sit down for cocktails and we start talking and we all start exchanging stories. And I was like, this would be an interesting. I'm gonna take a little bit of this. I'm gonna take a little bit of that, put it in a glass, stir it up,
Yeah,
and
for
see what
sure.
happens with it. Yeah.
As writers, like, yeah, I definitely get inspiration from things that I see, things that I experience, people I know, you know what I mean? And you have to. That's how you kind of make it real,
Yeah.
and have people relate to what you're writing about.
Yes.
Yeah. So, um, as a life coach, I always like to ask my guests,
Mhm.
um, a personal story, a personal transformation story on how they, went from one point to the of your life, how you went from one point of your life to, being here, being a writer, and are you going to be continuing writing more books?
I'm definitely going to continue writing more books. I've always loved to write
Hmm.
since I was young. I gravitated more towards poetry after my mother died
Okay.
because I was in a very melancholy state. So I would write more poetry. As I
Hmm.
got older, my style started to change. When I was in high school, I grew up in a hip hop era, so I love rap music. So that
Hmm.
changed lyrically, it changed how I wrote. And then as
Right.
I got older and started experiencing different things in relationships, that's when I started going towards erotica. I wanted to write a book, but I really talked myself out of it so many times. Often we get in our own way because I
Yeah.
said nobody is going to buy a book of poetry. I'm corny like that. I love poetry. I love to
Hmm.
read. I'm a
Yep.
DL nerd. I'm a
Too.
nerd. I love to read. I said but poetry is a hard sell, but every time I would go in Barnes and Nobles, which is my second home because I love a bookstore, I would see all of these books on poetry. I said, well, it has to be again, it has to be a lane for poetry because there's
Yes.
so many books here about it.
Yes, there is.
I went to a write and sip. I went to a write and sip, which is very, very, it was very engaging. My editor, she had
Okay.
a concept and she did prompts where we rewrote the endings to different movies. It was like the Love Jones edition. And we
Right. Oh,
and
that sounds fun.
it was so dope. She actually has one coming up. And it was really dope. And I was like, I'm ready to write my book.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the class, I was ready to write my book and I got in contact with her and I was like, I don't know if I can afford you. And I'm all about the payment plan. So what can
Right.
we do to get this
Right.
book
Right.
ready?
Right.
And she said, I'm gonna send you two contracts. We had a conversation. I'm gonna send you two contracts. You look them both over. You tell me which one is more feasible for you, and we can start working. And I was already organized. I was very organized, and it just took on a life of its own. So it
That's
started
nice.
out as just gonna be a book of poetry. Then I said
Mhm.
maybe I should write a story to introduce the poems, and that's what made me break it up into sections.
Right.
And it just was like it took on a life of its own, and it's I loved it, and I feel like it's the best thing that I ever did.
Yeah, this is a really good read, and I recommend it to anyone who, and I like books that are good reads and that aren't very long. You know what I mean? Because you don't have a lot of time to read 600-page books anymore.
Okay,
So, yes. So, I really feel like, this is a really good read and men and women will enjoy it alike. You know what I'm saying? So, another question that I like to ask is about self love and self care. What are some of your, if any, if you have any self care practices you would like to share with the audience?
well, self care for me is prayer. I pray. Everybody is praying, meditating. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be. Because everybody believes something different, and it doesn't
right.
matter. Whatever brings you peace, tap
Hmm.
into that. Prayer brings me peace.
Hmm.
Prayer brings me peace. I often like to sit by myself and sometimes have nothing on the TV, no radio, no anything, and just sit there and relax. I
Hmm.
like to, COVID really shut so many things down that I did to relax myself. I love to go and sit in the park.
Yeah,
Just
me too.
sometimes I would just sit, listen to music, um, a pedicure, simple things can
Hmm.
make you feel great. Go get a pedicure, go get a manicure. It's something as simple as going to have a cup of coffee by yourself to
Yep.
shut the world out,
Yep.
do a little notebook, and writing brings me peace. That's self care for me. I
Yeah.
do not know what I would do if I could not write. I do not know. I
Yeah.
do not know a world without writing.
Were you I know I was always that girl that had a journal or a diary. Like I have journals in my closet from about 15 years ago that I said that's how I wrote my memoir because I
Uh-huh,
went back in my journals
yeah,
because I wrote about all my different relationships and all my experiences and that's how I remember details, from my journals. Were you that girl that had a journal too?
love a journal. Love
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have, and I'm a person that I will buy a notebook. I have so many different notebooks,
Me
but
too.
sometimes if I can't,
It's addicted.
if nothing comes to me in that book, I feel like maybe I need a new notebook. This is not doing it for me. So I have all different type of journals. My journal on my phone is filled to capacity. Like I write
Hmm.
constantly. I can lay down, and if something pops in my head, I will sit straight up. It doesn't matter what time it is, and I'll just
Right.
write because I don't want to lose it.
Right.
Lose it. I still jot down on little pieces of paper.
Me
Like if I
too.
have a piece of paper, it's it's. I don't know what I would do if I could write or read. If I couldn't read, I
Right.
don't know what I would do. It's words are so special to me because they evoke so many different emotions.
Yep.
Someone can say something to you and make or break your day.
Yes.
Always want to say something that's going to make somebody's day. I
Hmm.
do not believe in, and I know it sounds so corny. I do not believe in negative stuff. I love to. I am the person. I am very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can just be so annoying to a person that wants to sit in negativity, but I love to be positive. I like to see the silver lining in anything.
Yes, yes,
We,
that's
yeah,
me too, and that's like a Sag thing. We're always eternal optimists.
yes,
Sometimes it gets on people's nerves, but I can't help it because someone will sit there and explain something that they're stressed about or feeling negative about, and I'm like, yeah, but this it this happened for this reason, and
absolutely.
see this, and people are like, you just gonna try to see the silver lining in every damn thing.
It's important.
You help it.
It's important. We gravitate towards so many negative things, and we
Yeah.
have so many things to be happy about. It's simple things. Simple
Mhm.
things. I am very happy when I wake up. Initially, you like, I just need 1 more hour. But
Yes.
when I wake up and I'm able to move, because there's somebody that can't walk. There is somebody that cannot talk. There is somebody that can't see, they can't hear. And we have all of our senses, and a lot of times we take those things for granted. I,
Hmm.
in my older age, I'm just in love with the simplicity of things. That I'm still here. And I feel like as long as I'm still here, I have an opportunity to change anything that I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely.
forever optimist. Forever.
Yeah.
That's me, yes.
So speaking of, you just mentioned about, just when we wake up, what what's the first thing you pops in your head when you wake up in the morning? Is what how what because I know there's always a thought that when I wake up, there's always an idea for me to write about in my journal or to post about on my Instagram or in my coaching page. So what is the first thought that comes to you like when you wake up, for
How
example?
can I make my day better than it was yesterday?
That's good. That's
How can
good.
I make my day better than it was yesterday? Also, gratefulness.
Yeah.
I'm always grateful. When I wake up, I'm like this. Thank you, God. When I
Hmm.
walk out of my door every day, the first thing I say is cover me, Lord.
Yeah.
First thing, cover me, Lord. As soon as I walk out the door and I turn my key, cover me, Lord. Cover my family. Cover my friends.
Hmm.
I'm always thinking about. I just want to. Today's gonna be a good day. I say it so that it can manifest. I'm like, today's gonna be a good day because I'm alive. I'm
Yeah.
alive. So I'm gonna make the best of it because I know I'm responsible for how my day turns out. So I'm like this.
Yeah.
My day is gonna be up. I know I'm gonna crack jokes because I'm
Yeah.
goofy. And normally, how my day starts is I get up, I get prepared for work, I go to work, I come in, and I start talking to my coworkers, and we start cracking jokes, and then I'm on the phone with my best friend. I'm on the phone. Let's say yes, I get on the phone with my best friend. We start chatting, and we start laughing.
Hmm.
And that's normally how my day goes every day. I try to see the best in every day because we living in faithless times, so it's hard to stay. It's hard to keep your faith. But when I think about how far God has brought me, there's no reason for me to be unhappy because I'm
Yeah.
not where I was before.
Yeah, because we are seriously blessed beyond measure. We just don't see that because things don't happen the way you want them to happen or in the time
Absolutely,
frame that you want it to happen in, or just how we picture things is not the same way that God has it written for us. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? So then we get upset or anxious, and some people suffer from depression because of that, or anxiety, because anxiety is just the lack of control. When
yeah,
people get anxious and are, upset about something not happening the way they want to happen, it's because they have a lack of control of that situation. So they get anxious. So, but that's good.
absolutely.
That's good. When I wake up in the morning, it always tells me how my day is going to be because that's when I get my ideas, and
Mhm.
that's those are your purest thoughts because you're still kind of in, not sleeping. So you're kind of like walking that line of being fully awake or still being, in a dream state per se.
Right.
Yeah, you
So,
get
yeah.
I get like downloads, and my father that passed for me, like I'll get like images of him or images of things, and I'll be like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right then in the morning.
It happens, and that's a true thing. When you first wake up, I have to sit just for a second, not really long. I'll
Hmm.
and I'll think, and I just start moving. I turn on the news, weather. Always listen to the weather, and I start getting myself together. I'm like, for the most part, I'm a happy person. I would say I am. I want to say I'm 96% happy most of the time. We all have to navigate through other emotions.
Exactly.
I just don't sit in it. I don't sit
Yeah,
in it. And
that's the key. That's the
I don't
key.
sit in it because because you're not going to be up all the time. And
Nope.
it's okay to be down. Just don't stay down. It's cold down there.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
cold.
It's
It's very
rough.
cold. And I'm older now, so it's very uncomfortable to be down there. You
Hmm.
got to get
Hmm.
up. So
I totally agree.
myself up.
I
Yeah.
totally agree with everything you're saying. This has been a great conversation, girl.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you. Thank you
yes.
so much for joining me. And everybody, get yourself a copy of Lovesick Poems and Stories to Turn You On by Kareema
Thank
Edwards.
you.
It's on Amazon.
Yes.
And thank you, Kareema, for joining me
Oh,
tonight, blessing me and our audience with your wisdom and knowledge and
oh, thank
just
you so much. I
everything.
truly, truly enjoy this. And don't forget to get You Love and You Learn. This is a very, very good book. Get this
Thank
book
you.
on
Thank
Amazon
you.
as well. We have to support each other. We just cannot do lip service. We have
Hmm.
we have to really support each other. I
Thank
really
you so
enjoyed this
much.
interview. Just to think I was nervous earlier.
Yeah, I know. I
Yes,
told you it was going to be just a conversation.
and it was great. I enjoyed it
Oh,
immensely.
wait, before we go, oh, wait, my husband said that's a fact. Well, I wonder what he was talking about. Oh, probably when I said I don't share.
I know
Uh,
that's. Hey,
Kenya says,
Kenya.
"Hey, beautiful
Hi.
Kareema
That's
Boo."
that's that's another one of my girls. My girls is in here deep. That's my girl.
Yes, your
Right
girls are
here.
in here deep. I
I
love it.
love my
Rufus
brother
is in
Rufus.
here.
Hi, Rufus. Yes, I got I have an amazing support system. Amazing support system.
Ow. Okay. There goes
Yes.
Nova again. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll be back next week with another episode of Martine's Musings. Take care.
Bye.